Why do Chinese people save so much? As a Chinese, in this video, I'm going to review the Chinese secret to saving money. Hi, I'm Bella Wong. I live in Shanghai and I spent 8 years working in finance. Today, my daughter and I opening all the red envelopes she received this year. Tomorrow, I will deposit them into her own bank account. When my daughter was just 3 months old, we taught her one of the first gestures many Chinese babies learn, Gong Xi Fa Cai. It literally means, hope you get rich. For many Chinese children, it may also be their very first introduction to the idea of money. My daughter is now 2.5 years old, and she still has no real concept of what money is. To her, these are just beautiful red envelopes with paper inside. During Lunar New Year, birthdays, and other important celebrations, children across China receive red envelopes from parents, grandparents, relatives, and family friends. They are a symbol of love and good wishes, but they are also something more. When I was a child, my parents always collected my red envelopes after the holiday. Smiling, they would say the same thing every year. We will keep it safe for you. Almost every child I knew grew up hearing those exact words. Looking back now, I realized that this was probably my very first lesson about money. Not how to spend it, but how to save it. Now that I'm a mother myself, I found myself saying exactly the same thing. As I finished organizing all of my daughter's lucky money, I smiled at her and repeated the words I heard throughout my own childhood. I will keep it safe for you. Today, it's time for another deposit. I'm heading to a bank near my home. It's very hot today, so I'm carrying an umbrella to stay out of the sun. When my daughter was just 3 months old, I opened her first bank account. Ever since she received her first red envelope, I've been putting the money aside for her. In China, that's actually a pretty common thing to do. But in many Chinese families, a child's first experience of having money also begins with giving up the right to decide what happens to it. Sometimes that money eventually goes toward school tuition. Sometimes it's spent on things the family needs. And sometimes it simply becomes part of the family's savings. No matter where the money ends up, many of us learn the same lesson from a very young age. The first thing you do when you receive money isn't spend it, it's save it. This is her bank card. It even has her own photo printed on it. I'm feeding the bills into the ATM and watching the number on the screen slowly climb. Her savings are growing little by little. As for my daughter's lucky money, I haven't spent any of it. I'm keeping it for the day when she's ready to make her own financial decisions. Now I'm done at the bank and I'm driving about 10 minutes to the children's library near my home. Recently, I came across a statistic that really caught my attention. On average, Chinese households save about 30% of their disposable income. In other words, for every $100 we earn, we save around 30. In the United States, by comparison, the personal savings rate is about 3%. That means that for every $100 earned, about $3 are saved. The two countries calculate these figures differently, so they aren't perfectly comparable. But even so, the gap is striking. It makes me wonder, why do Chinese people save so much? Culture is certainly part of the answer, but I think there is also a very practical reason. In China, healthy care, education, and retirement are all supported to some extent. But for many families, the basic safety net is only the beginning. When it comes to major medical bills, a child's education, or caring for aging parents, much of the responsibility still falls on the family. And when so much about the future feels uncertain, the number in our bank account becomes one of the few things that feels certain. There's another reason that's deeply rooted in Chinese society: saving money to buy a home. In the minds of many Chinese people, a rented apartment is just a place to live. A place you own is what truly feels like a home. Whether you agree with that idea or not, it has shaped the way generations of people think about that. Many people don't start saving because they have money left over. They save first. The moment their paycheck arrives, they already know where every part of it will go. One portion is for daily living, one goes towards the mortgage, one is set aside for their children, and another portion simply isn't meant to be touched. When I was growing up, there was always a small notebook somewhere in our home. It was my parents' household ledger. My parents were both born in the 1960s. They carefully wrote down every expense, no matter how small, how much they spent on groceries, the electricity, and water bills, anything they bought for the house. Even an expense of just a few yuan would make it into the notebook. As a child, I never really understood why. Why keep track of such tiny amounts of money? Years later, I finally realized that, for my parents' generation, keep a household ledger wasn't really a sophisticated form of personal finance. It was a way of making sure life stayed on track. They wanted to know exactly where the money had gone that month, and whether there would be enough left to keep living according to plan. They grew up during a time of severe material scarcity. My parents used to tell me that when they were children, the thing they looked forward to most was Lunar New Year, because that was the one day when they could finally eat meat. I've always believed that poverty changes more than the way a person lives. It also changes the way they feel about money. Even when life becomes more comfortable, the habits often remain. Save a little, don't waste it. Those thoughts become part of who you are. Without realizing it, I inherited that way of thinking. After I graduated from university and started working, every payday followed the same routine. Before I spent anything, I saved a portion of my salary. For years, I never seriously stopped to ask myself why. It simply felt normal, because that was the way I had seen life lived ever since I was a child. First, prepare for tomorrow. Then, decide what you can afford today. It wasn't until the end of last year, when I decided to leave my career in finance, that I truly understood why I had been saving all these years. For the first time, I realized that the money I'd saved hadn't just earned interest. It had been brought me something far more valuable: time. The freedom to slow down before making my next decision. When I walked away from my job, I didn't have to panic. I didn't have to accept the first opportunity that came along simply because another bill was waiting to be paid. and I didn't have to think out every step of my future the very next day. The money I had saved didn't solve my problems for me, but it gave me something I couldn't have had otherwise. The space to think, the time to breathe, the chance to decide what kind of life I actually wanted to build next. And maybe that's why I understand why so many Chinese people save. Because often we are saving isn't just money, we are saving peace of mind in case someone in the family gets sick. We are saving for our children's education. We are saving for the down payment on a home. We are saving so our parents will be cared for as they grow older. And sometimes we are simply saving so that when life doesn't go according to plan, we don't immediately lose the ability to choose. My parents saved so they would never have to experience hunger again. I save so that when life surprises me, I still have a choice. As for my daughter, I don't yet know what she will save for one day. Maybe every generation searches for security in its own way. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.